Hello friends, let's talk about the poem Our Casuarina Tree, written by Toru Dutt. Toru Dutt is an Indian poet from Bengal who wrote in English and French. She is one among the early Indian English writers such as Louis Vivian Desrosiers, Manmohan Ghose and Sarojini Naidu. She spent her childhood years in India and at when she was 13 the family moved over to Europe and she lived for a few years in France and also in England. Toru wrote in the romantic style and she was very much influenced by the romantic writers. She writes about the themes of patriotism, of nostalgia and loneliness. She brought out a collection of works titled A Sheaf Gleaned in the French Fields. She has also written a novel in French. Now, Toru died very young too. She died when she was just 21, and that indeed is a great loss to Indian English poetry. Now, coming to this particular poem titled Our Casuarina Tree. It is a poem that comprises of 5 stanzas, 11 lines each, 2 quatrains that make 8 lines, plus a rhyming tercet of 3 lines. So 11 lines in all and 5 stanzas. She talks about the Casuarina tree. And Casuarina tree is also a tree that's called the she oak or the Australian pine or the native pine, and it is found in the Indian subcontinent, in Africa, in Australia, and many such places. Now, Toru Dutt, talks about this particular Casuarina tree which she could see when she opened the window to her garden. So, let me read the first stanza. Like a huge python, winding round and round the rugged trunk, indented deep with scars, up to its very summit near the stars, a creeper climbs, in whose embraces bound no other tree could live. But gallantly the giant wears the scarf, and flowers are hung in crimson clusters all the boughs among, whereon all day are gathered bird and bee, and oft at nights the garden overflows with one sweet song that seems to have no close, sung darkling from our tree while men repose. So she begins by talking about a creeper that climbs and that winds around the rugged trunk, the Casuarina tree. The name of the tree is not mentioned here in this stanza. She only talks about a huge tree with a rugged trunk which has deep scars, and the winding creeper has bitten into the bark of the tree, the creeper is compared to a huge python that strangles the tree. And if it were any other lesser tree, it would have died under the stranglehold of the creeper, maybe a parasite which draws out the life, the sap of the tree. But this particular Casuarina tree still manages to stand strong, and she wears here the tree is personified as a giant who wears the scarf. Here the scarf is actually the creeper. It wears the creeper proudly like a scarf, and the red flowers, crimson clusters, adorn the tree. And there, on this tree, because these flowers are there, you always find that the tree is full of bird and bee. And oft at nights, and in the nights too, when men repose, that is when the human beings are asleep, you still have birds, songbirds, who perched on this tree sing sweet songs, with one sweet song that seems to have no close, sung darkling from our tree. So some songbird, maybe the cuckoo, sings darkling. Darkling again here means that in the darkness, the bird is not seen. It is a bird that hides in the darkness. But when the whole world is sleeping, the bird perches on the tree, on the casuarina tree, and continues to sing its melodious song. Stanza 2. When first my casement is wide open thrown at dawn, my eyes delighted on it rest. Sometimes, and most in winter, on its crest, a grey baboon sits statue-like alone watching the sunrise, while on lower boughs his puny offspring leap about and play. And far and near kokilas hail the day, and to their pastures wend our sleepy cows. And in the shadow on the broad tank cast by that hoar tree, so beautiful and vast, the water lilies spring like snow enmasked. So this picture that the stanza paints is as pretty as an idyllic landscape, a beautiful postcard. So she says that when I wake up in the morning, early dawn, and throw open my window, the first thing I see is this tree. And I feel delighted the moment I see the tree. And sometimes, she says, when she opens the window in the morning, and especially in the winter season, she sees a grey baboon. A baboon is a primate, a monkey, sits statue-like alone on the tree, watching the sunrise. So it's such a evocative picture that the poetess draws. And the baboon just sits there still like a statue, while the little ones leap about and play on the lower boughs of the tree. The crest is the topmost bough. Somewhere there the baboon sits. She seems to be taking some time off, and while the children are left to play on their own. And she can also hear, she here is the poetess, can also hear the kokilas, the cuckoo birds, singing their morning songs. And the cows that are still sleepy are slowly moving towards their pastures. And she can also see the shadow of the tree cast on the tank. Tank might mean maybe a man-made constructed tank, a big one, because it's a huge one, or it may be a pond. And the shadow of this tree falls on to the waters in the tank, and it was so beautiful. And there, beneath the shadow of the tree, she can see the white lilies spring like snow enmasked. So from the window, when she looks down, the cluster of water lilies resemble snow enmasked. Resemble snow, as if snow has accumulated on the waters. So let's go on to stanza 3. And she says, but not because of its magnificence, dear is the casuarina to my soul. So in the first 2 stanzas, she spoke about the beauty and the magnificence of the tree, and the birds and bees and the baboon and everything associated with the tree. And she says, but it's not only for the magnificence of the tree that I love it, or it's dear to me, or I hold close to my soul, but it's because she has some more personal memories connected to the tree. Because, beneath it we have played. Here the we refers to her siblings. Aru was the elder sister, Toru, and then they also had a younger brother called Abji. And unfortunately, all of them died young. Aru died when she was 20 years old. She too was a poetess. She died when she was 20 years old. And Toru died when she was 21. And Abji, the brother, died when he was just 14. So Toru was the last one to die. And so when she looks at the tree, when she remembers the tree, it's not just the magnificence that comes to her mind, but she also is reminded of her siblings who she can see no more. Though years may roll, O sweet companions, loved with love intense, for your sakes shall the tree be ever dear. So she says, no matter how many years roll by or pass by, I remember you with my dear companions with such intense love. And it is because of you, it is for your sake, shall this, it is for your sake that I love this tree with such intensity. Because this tree is a symbol of the love and the camaraderie that we, and the affection that we shared amongst ourselves. Blent with your images, it shall arise in memory, till the hot tears blind mine eyes. So she is moved to tears when she looks at or thinks of this particular tree. What is that dirge-like murmur that I hear, like the sea breaking on a shingle beach? It is the tree's lament, an eerie speech that haply to the unknown land may reach. So she says, even when she's far away from the place, from India, as I mentioned earlier, she was there only up to her 13th year. After that, she lived in Europe. And so she says, as she thinks about this tree, she says, what is that dirge-like murmur? A dirge is a song of death or a mourning song, a song of lament. So what is the dirge-like murmur that I hear? Like the sea breaking on a shingle beach. Shingles are small rounded stones. You have some beaches which have shingles instead of sand, fine sand. And so she talks about the grating noise of the shingle beach. Reminds one of Matthew Arnold's poem Dover Beach, where he too talks about the grating sound of the shingle beach. And so she says, it is the trees. And so what is this dirge? And she says, it is the lament of the tree, an eerie speech that can reach out to me even when I am in an unknown land. So now in stanza 4, she goes on to say, unknown yet well known to the eye of faith. Ah, I have heard that wail far, far away in distant lands, by many a sheltered bay, when slumbered in his cave the water wraith, and the waves gently kissed the classic shore of France or Italy beneath the moon, when earth lay tranced in a dreamless swoon. And every time the music rose, before mine inner vision rose a form sublime, thy form, O tree, as in my happy prime I saw thee in my own loved native clime. So she says, even in unknown lands, unknown to the eye of faith. So the memory of the tree remained so strong, so faithful in her mind, that even when she was far, far away in distant lands, in lands where the sea, the waves gently kissed the classic shore, whether it was France or Italy, this eerie song of the dirge-like murmur of the tree came to her while she lay in bed beneath the moon, and while the earth was in a trance, as if in a dreamless swoon. So at night time, when she lay down to sleep, this music welled up. She could once again hear it in the sea, and in her mind's eye, whenever this music came, the music was accompanied by a form sublime. And here the form sublime refers to the magnificent tree. In her inner vision, in her mind's eye, she sees the tree, and she sees the tree as she saw it when she was in a happy prime, when she was a little girl. And in her mind's eye, the tree is still situated in her native clime. Native clime is in Bengal, in India, where she spent her childhood. And now the last stanza. Therefore, I fain would consecrate a lay unto thy honor, tree beloved of those who now in blessed sleep for aye repose. Dearer than life to me, alas, were they. May thou be numbered when my days are done with deathless trees like those in Borodale, under whose awful branches lingered pale, fear, trembling hope, and death, the skeleton and time the shadow. And though weak the verse, that would thy beauty feign or fain rehearse, may love defend thee from oblivion's curse. So she says in the last stanza that she would would consecrate a lay. So lay is a song, and fain here I think it means with great pleasure. She would attempt to sing a song, to devote a song in thy honor. She writes this poem to commemorate the tree, to immortalize the tree. And because this particular tree is not special just for her, but those, that is, she refers to her brother and her sister, who now in blessed sleep for aye forever repose. They're never going to come back, and they were dearer than life to me. And it is for them too that I write this poem, because they loved you so much. And she wants the tree to be numbered even when her days are gone. So it seems to be an uncanny prophecy, because very soon Toru too passed away. And so she says that even when I am not around, I would like your name to be numbered with the deathless trees who have been immortalized in other poems. And she here makes a special reference to the yew trees of Borrowdale. Now, the yew trees is a poem written by Wordsworth. And Toru was a great admirer of the romantic writers, including Keats and Wordsworth. And so she says, just as Wordsworth immortalized the yew trees of Borrowdale, similarly, I too would like to immortalize you. And Wordsworth speaks, yew trees are usually associated with death and sorrow, and they're found in graveyards. In English graveyards, you find these yew trees. And so, in his poem, he writes about, he associates the yew trees with fear, trembling hope, death, and skeleton, and the time, the shadow. And so she says that though my verse is weak when compared to Wordsworth's verse, though my poem is not as solemn and profound as the verse written by Wordsworth, this is as much as I can do, and may my love, which is very strong. So she says, though my poem may not be very good, my love, I hope, will defend thee from oblivion's curse. Oblivion is forgetfulness. So my passionate love for you will compensate for whatever my verse lacks, my poem lacks. And I hope that you will be remembered forever. And so this poem fulfilled her desire, because the poem was written so many years ago, but even today when we read, maybe it is because Casuarina Tree is always prescribed in the syllabi, and because she is a representative poet of Indo-Anglian poetry. So as long as this poem is read, the tree continues to remain alive, and so does Toru. And the tree evokes nostalgia, and it stands as a symbol of nostalgia and fond memories. And for us, the tree reminds not only the siblings, but it also stands as a reminder for a young poetess whose days were cruelly cut short by fate. So it continues. Casuarina Tree will continue to remain one of my favorite poems. I have many favorite poems, and this particular poem has an undeniable place in the list. Thank you for listening to me.